Welcome back to Talk Dead to Me. I am your host, Johnny Odell. I'm the social media manager for The Walking Dead, and this week I spoke with Mo Collins from Fear the Walking Dead. So a little context about me. I have an older half-brother and half-sister who I have never lived with. We're close, but I never lived with them, so I'm kind of an only child. And what do you do when you're an only child and have no brothers or sisters to kind of play around with? You watch a lot of TV. And my favorite show growing up was MadTV. And my favorite actor on that show was Mo Collins. No joke. So interviewing her this week was surreal and incredible and moving. And I really had an out-of-body experience interviewing her. But anyway, she's a really amazing person, and I can't wait for you guys to hear the interview. So I'm going to stop dicking around, and let's get right to it. This is Mo Collins. So Mo, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I just can't wait for this year to end.
Don't be too anxious because here's the good news.
Okay.
We're both here and we're alive. Do you know what I mean? There's a real pandemic. We're here.
Yeah.
We're looking great. I mean, look at us.
That's true. I mean, look at us. Come on. This is amazing.
So you kind of got to go, 2020, you've been good to me. It's been a tough year for people.
It has been tough. I know. And usually I get freaked out when the grocery stores start putting out Christmas stuff. But this year I'm excited. I'm like, oh, good. We can wrap this thing up soon. But,
I think I remember somewhere around March, my husband and I were like, you know what? Should we put the Christmas stuff up just for fun? We can take it down again next week and then put it up again. Like, what do we do for fun in this?
Might as well. All right, Mo. So let's get into your background. You grew up in Minneapolis, right? Are you from Minneapolis?
Yeah, suburbs of Minneapolis. New Hope, Minnesota is actually the place. But yeah, Minneapolis.
So how did growing up in Minneapolis shape who you are?
I feel like my Minnesota upbringing, what it did was I was raised fairly stable. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Strong Irish Catholic family. It's like we're kind of rugged. I think it made me sturdy.
I like that. Sturdy is a good one.
And that goes to both physically sturdy, but also mentally sturdy. My morals and my ethics, they're all sturdy.
Wow. That's really nice. Yeah. Okay. So you initially wanted to be an artist, right?
Mm-hmm. And turns out I am.
And it turns out you are. You ended up being a performing artist.
I'm a broader artist than I had any idea I would be. It's like all my painting and drawing or whatever art, that's still there. And oh my gosh, I've just added to my artistry through acting and comedy and just all of it. My lifestyle.
So I'm curious, what kind of artist did you want to be initially?
Oh, well, like the famous, like the Picassos and Matisses of the world. I had that fantasy. Of course, women couldn't really do that, but no, it's true. That's different. They weren't, immortalized like the men were. Mm-hmm. The women were romanticized on the canvas, not for their art itself. But I just always had that visual of just being just years and years in my studio, just surrounded by paints and canvases and have long gray hair and, just wear
you look like Carol in The Walking Dead.
Honestly, that is exactly right. Like when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's the vision I had for myself when I was a little girl. It is. It's very much. My grays are coming in, so I'm getting there.
So you grew up watching Carol Burnett as well, right? And that must have been obviously... I mean, just look at any of your comedy work. It's a huge inspiration to you.
She's my goat, right? Yeah. She's my goat. I mean, we weren't really, we couldn't watch a lot of TV in our household, but Saturday nights, the Carol Burnett show came on and man, I would just scramble to get in front of that TV because that was it. Like that was absolutely it. Watching them have so much fun. Mm-hmm. I just thought, that's unbelievable. I didn't realize until years and years later that you could actually do that.
Yeah.
I just watched it completely enamored and obviously joining in the laughs, but it wasn't until years later I went, oh, this is a choice you can make and do. I see.
So when did you make the transition into performing and acting?
When I was, I guess 19, Maureen is my legal name. Mm-hmm. And in 8th grade, there was a teacher and a director who was also a football coach, but he had a improv group. And he named me Mo. He made me audition. And that's when I started seeing what, improv and comedy and all that. I was the shyest person in the world.
Really?
Like it didn't make any sense. It's not like he saw some silly girl in the hallways and called over to sign up. He saw the shyest girl in the school and said, "Hey, Mo, get over here and sign up for this." And I'm like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to be that guy, whoever Mo is." And it was me. So he essentially split my personality down the middle, got me up on stage and showed me a light that I didn't know I had inside of me fully, I mean, I knew there was something weird in me, I knew there was something dreamy, but I didn't know it was really part of who I was or could be. So in 8th grade, that started. And then when I was 19 and had been asked to leave the college, and didn't know what I was doing.
Wait, you were asked to leave the college?
Just over some of this stuff, Johnny.
Okay, sure, we can. Yeah,
just
whatever you want.
It was not a big deal, but yeah.
Okay.
I did
some high crimes and misdemeanors.
Yeah, nothing big, but it was all girls Catholic college, and I'd put my art on the walls. What can I say? And they're like, "Well, are you going to change?" And I said, "No, I really like where this is going." So it was sort of a change or leave, and so I left. Didn't know what I was doing, but then I went, "Oh, that thing that I used to love in 8th grade, improv." And then I signed up at Dudley Riggs' Brave New Workshop for classes in Minneapolis. And next thing I know, I was in the touring company. Then all of a sudden there's an agent in the audience and they're sending me on a commercial audition. And I got the first one I went for. And then you start to go, wait, there's checks attached to these things. They're small, but they're checks. And
I'm getting paid to be ridiculous?
Yeah. And meet the friends that are still my friends today. Like my work family is for real. And most of them are out here. Yeah. So that's what did it. It was in some ways accidental and but mostly intentional, like the universe and all of its intention, everything shoving me to where I should be.
Yeah, I've studied some improv at UCB and I'm familiar with like how they do it at Second City as well. I'm wondering like how is Brave New Workshop different?
It is different. When I came out, when I compared it to, all the improv schools and subsets out here that I experienced, and I've experienced all of them, I think. Dudley Riggs has I got a really, really good work ethic there. Like we start our day, you read the newspaper top to bottom, you discuss it. It was a very political, social satire, strong sketches. Partly because, it wasn't gearing like, ooh, I hope I get on SNL or ooh, hope I get something out of this. It wasn't that. It had a different focus being up there. So, and for instance, like after our sketch show every night, which was the one show, we would do an improv set. You would never see repeat characters show up in improv and things. Whereas like the Groundlings, for instance, people go and they groom themselves into characters and then they start writing for them. And that's a good way too, right? But for us, it was like, when we do notes after, we'd be like, "Hey, Mo, we've seen you do that before." It's like, okay, time to stretch. It's like, so if you wonder, where all my characters stem from, it's because I learned how to stretch at Dudley Riggs. It's like Mo is short for more as far as like just having a gazillion characters, because I had this fear of repeating myself. So I tried to make them all distinct. So just very different work ethic because the focus was different. It wasn't about trying to make it in the business.
So all the characters you played, and you said you grew up like being kind of shy. You didn't practice like any characters around like your family or anything. This is all something that blossomed in 8th grade, high school and beyond. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. A thing I knew, I realized about myself is, and I call myself a mockingbird, not in the mean spirited way, but I feel like I'm a mockingbird in terms of, I just sort of, I see people, I see how they are, how they, be it just from personality wise to physically, how they carry themselves, vocals, all of it. I'm a mockingbird. I like trying on their earth suit, if you will, and experiencing walking in them as opposed to myself. I think over the years, there's been many years where that was just easier than being myself, was walking in some stranger and getting to know them.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I was talking to Coleman 2 weeks ago, and he like, surprisingly, with how like outgoing and gregarious he is, he grew up as a very shy kid as well, and that's
I'm not
just, you know,
surprised.
I
I'm
know
not
it's
surprised.
crazy.
You know, it's just this thing then that's just in you, but it's just not being exercised. And it really was, you know, like splitting my personality.
Yeah.
The Maureen and the Mo became so symbolic in a way. Mo allowed me to be this other person. As I got older, I could feel emerging more, but that was when you know, I would say even up into my 40s and now in my 50s, where it merges because it's become Maureen has more confidence. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm just not, I can still be shy. I can actually still be shy. Very shy. Like if people don't know me in a setting, I kind of revert back to Maureen, but they've merged a bit to where, you know, doing stand-up or things like that, Mo and Maureen kind of spoke together.
Interesting. I love this Jekyll and Hyde dynamic you have going on. It's
I know.
scary, but really good.
I don't have to dress up at Halloween. It's just me.
I'm wondering, you've probably answered this. I should have looked it up, but where did Lorraine come from? We're now going on to the MadTV years.
She's Lorraine is an amalgamation of numerous women in Minnesota. And you know, if you go back, especially to the first Lorraine's that I would do, and it was just very quiet, like just because Lorraine actually had a partner. You know, there were two of us, my friend Melissa. And it was just this sort of non-conversation conversation. You know, you don't talk about real big stuff. It's just sort of, you know, oh, look at that. You know, just, yeah, that's cute, isn't it? What does that do? Huh? What do you call that? It's such a Minnesota thing that we just sort of avoid big, real conversations. It's not to say they're not smart. That's not it. It's just sort of, and the that she has is a way of almost letting the person that you're non-conversing with, know that you're still with them. Still here. You know, it's like, I haven't left this space. I'm still here. Yeah. But she's a total amalgamation. And as it turns out, I've heard from so many people, it's not just Minnesota. Like she's very.
Oh, she reminds me.
Shoot, Cleveland, you know, Ohio. She's very Ohio.
My late grandma was her essentially. Like she would do the cough and everything, like when no one was paying attention to her, and like, what, grandma? it's the thing.
It's like, I'm still here. I exist. It's just like, I exist. I don't know.
I've heard varied stories about like the experience at MadTV. I think you've said that it felt like being sort of like the bastard child of Fox, you know, who I think Bobby Lee was saying it was almost like doing community theater, just with the limited resources. But it's something that a lot of people still remember you for, and you've made, you know, so many amazing sketches. So I'm wondering, like, how you look back on that time. Like, is it mostly positive?
Oh, it's positive. It's absolutely positive. It's like, what a great sandbox to play in, right? Like, what a great, as an adult too, to be an adult and to have this trunk full of like the best costumes, the wigs, and your playmates are all top-notch playmates.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for somebody that likes playing make-believe, to be able to play make-believe with people who are really good at it, pretty great. I suppose if I look deeper, I'd go, oh yeah, that was bullshit. But no, I honestly, like, I look back with very fond memories.
Yeah, I watched it growing up. I was a huge fan, and I had my friends who were big SNL fans, and I always felt like there was a rivalry between us. Maybe not the shows, but us. And I was just like, but MadTV is so much. I was like, you guys don't get it. It's so great. You know, I would show my friends. They love it. Is there anything to that, like with the SNL comparisons?
I feel in a lot of ways like we were more live than they were, and the reason for that is that I know on that show, like, they're more restricted in terms of like they've got their lines are written out and on a board, and so they're not
Mhm.
even looking at each other doing their
Yeah.
scenes. Um, our liveness came from audience reaction, and with the luxury of editing, right? Like if we are cracking up or if we are improvising on it,
Yeah.
we at the same time we're recording it, we're digging up more gold that can be
Mhm.
taken to the editing booth. And the audience is there for that magic and with you on that, and you're really connecting with your fellow actors. So it had a more live feel to me. You know,
Mhm.
I think it would have been very hard to do what SNL was doing, to be looking at a board and reading my lines instead of playing. You know, it's
Yeah.
ensemble comedy. How do you not look in the face of your scene partner and try not to laugh, you know, or
Right.
to connect and feel the funny and the rhythm, and then the audience and play that all into it. We got to do all of that on MadTV. So we didn't go live, but we have a very live show.
When you got the Parks role of Joan, was that originally supposed to be like a small part and then it just grew, they just kept having you back, or was that always going to be like a long run thing?
I'm not quite sure. You know, I read for I think I think with a lot of guest star stuff, they always say like potential recurring, and you're like,
Mm.
yeah, okay, you
Yeah.
know. But I do go into any situation like that and go, I'm going to do everything I can to make it recurring. You know, I'm gonna give 200%. Cross my fingers, hope I hear from them again. Um, but yeah, that was cool how that one worked out. But you know, it was the right place for me to go. You know, these are Amy and those folks. That's my background too. Different sketch shows, but I know that world. It's where I'm comfortable. And so, you know, like when I was there, Amy was always just so great. She's like, just let the camera roll. It's Mo, you know, and so I would just keep
Aw.
going, you know, and I would improvise a lot, which they could either use it or not. But what they did learn is some potentials about where Joan could go. They could see that I was a playful partner in this show, you
Yep.
know, a giver, if you will, a yes-ander.
Yes.
And so I think that's partly why it grew, just because I fit in that sandbox.
Yeah. And being part of that sort of Parks and Rec reunion special must have been cool.
Oh man, I was so honored when they got a hold of me for that. That was really cool. That
Yeah.
made me
I was
happy.
hoping I'd see you and I was like, yes, got some more
That felt
Mo.
good.
Before we get into fear, if you don't mind, so you actually had a pretty big health scare in 2011. I don't
Yeah,
know how much you talk about that, but you had a tumor, right?
yeah. It's a
Man,
rare cancer. It's called GIST cancer, which stands for,
just,
yeah, it's real sexy, gastrointestinal stromal tumors.
oh, that sounds good.
Isn't, yeah, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Jesus.
I know people, you know, aren't familiar with it, and um, so you know, it was but yeah, it's a sarcoma, and I feel very lucky because I didn't have symptoms, but I could feel something in there,
Mm,
which is a very rare thing. Um,
mm.
and I guess because I was thin enough at the time, I could feel it. And I really kind of thought, because I didn't know my stomach too well, I was like, God, did I just not chew my burger well enough or something?
Like a
But it was
snake
kind of
just
weird. Or is
popping
that
out.
like, have I just never felt that in me before? What's the thing?
Yeah.
And yeah, it turned out to be cancer.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
I know.
But you had a procedure that went successfully,
Yeah,
right?
and there's oral chemos. It's just sort of
Okay.
like it's you know, like I say, I have a good journey with it, whereas plenty of people do not with GIST.
Mm,
You know, it had not metastasized. Like if I hadn't felt it and I had let it go, I'd be having, well, I don't even know if I'd be here, to be honest.
mm-hmm.
But even if it had done more, I just they would have had to rearrange my entire GI and do all this stuff. So I got
Jeez.
I got really lucky.
You seem like you have a ton of gratitude. I'm wondering, like, that whole experience and coming out on the other side give you a new perspective on life, or were you about the same?
Not the same. I know you kind of want that. You kind of wish that it would have that, like,
Yeah.
this
Movie moment.
I didn't feel that movie moment,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know how lucky, but yeah, no movie moment. I don't think.
No angels singing, marching band walking by, everyone's
No,
throwing
and it's just
balloons.
not like, I'm gonna change how I am. It's like I'm
You
gonna
gonna
climb
stop being
a
a
mountain
dick to
every
my
day
neighbor.
now. Give me a mountain to climb every day. It's like, because I can. I'm so strong. And it's like, nah. I just but yeah, I'm incredibly grateful. I don't, it changes you in sort of like, for all the times that you think, it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fundamentally changed because now I know it can be something.
Yeah.
And it can be a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you're grateful though. That's good.
Yeah. I've lost a naivete
Yeah.
about health, for sure.
Yeah.
It's totally healthy otherwise. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is not a genetic cancer. I can't get mad at like my mom about it or something. I can't do that. It's just, I said, well, how did I get it? And it's like, you're unlucky. And I'm like, awesome.
Life sucks. Sorry.
Fucking awesome, man.
Cool.
I'm lucky. But I feel lucky.
Yeah.
Wow. I do feel lucky because it could have, and he was my boyfriend at the time, but I wouldn't have gone to the doctor.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't.
He talked you into it.
He made me, because he was more of a hypochondriac than I just wasn't, but
yeah, you're like, it's fine.
Oh, absolutely. And the weird thing was, what was it? 3 weeks later, the tumor had tucked itself underneath, so you couldn't feel it. So if Alex hadn't been there, it would have tucked under, continued growing, and poof.
Jesus.
So, that's where I go, wow.
Yeah.
My path was so lucky. Like all the things, right?
Yeah.
Just led to, yeah.
It's just one of those weird things. I was going to say, my brother, he worked next to the World Trade Center in New York in 2001, and he was supposed to he would always walk like through it to get to his building every morning. But for some reason, the night before, he worked late, and his boss was like, I never do this, but just come in late tomorrow. Just, come in at 12 or something. So he misses the whole thing. And he had a ton of friends who were either injured or died or et cetera. He ended up getting relocated. I'm sorry, this is
amazing.
So his building is destroyed because of it. And so they relocate him to Chicago. He moves that December, and then he's kind of like down on his, he's just like, God, like what is going on in my life? Like, this is insane. And his friend's like, just come to this New Year's party. He comes to a New Year's party, meets this girl, and they start dating. Now they're married and they have 4 kids, and they live in Chicago. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy. Just like these stories.
It's so what the fuck. And when you really start to look at how, lucky your path has been, then you go, why wasn't theirs?
Yeah.
Like,
right. I mean, for everyone that is,
a person was there for 9/11, or some other person that got GIST cancer. Theirs wasn't like mine, and they're gone now, like, right. So why did these things line up the way that they did? So
I think, like you said, we just have to be grateful that we're still here and we're alive, and things are still moving for us, even if it's kind of shitty on the outside. And
I know
November's scaring me, but who knows?
Yeah, it isn't, certainly like with this virus, it's like my history, I now have a compromised immune system, so it's meant it's scared me that way. It's like, oh hell, did I come through all this, and then this virus is gonna come.
This is what's gonna come. Oh my god, yeah.
This motherfucker.
This shit.
The thing. This is it. This is the thing.
All right, so it is called Talk Dead to Me. So let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead. How did this opportunity come to you?
Because of my comedy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I was.
So they came to you.
the producers requested me to come in, and it's based on Gina from 40-Year-Old Virgin. So
we never got a backstory for her, so
doing it
that's
now.
it. Wow. So
But that is why. Yeah, I went in to talk about the character, and it was weird because, you know, the audition, like, this casting director never called me in. I was requested, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get this. It's a drama. Nobody even sees me for dramas. And then, yeah, I booked it. It was a same day audition, and the next day I was at the talking with the producers, and they go, so, you know, Gina from 40-Year-Old Virgin? I go, yeah. And they go, her. And I said, all right, let's go stir up some beef. And
just like an overly sexually aggressive kind of
her,
butch.
yeah, her, you know, her manliness, her moxie.
Yeah.
Just that attitude, you know, just sort of in that pocket, man. Just that lady, very blue collar. She's a truck driver.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I mean, granted, Gina was a lesbian, but, you know, Sarah is, I think of her as asexual.
Interesting.
Because asexual is interesting too.
It is. I know. I mean,
like, you're like, what?
No.
They never have a need, you know, but I don't know, but
they need their representation.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that she's just, it's not about that for her.
I agree. Was calling Morgan Mo or Momo, like, did that come from you?
No, it did not.
Really?
No. And it was obviously strange for me because some of my, you know, dearest friends call me Momo.
Right.
And so, and obviously people think I did come up with it. So it's all a very strange thing. It's all become just like Momo has turned into its own thing, you know, and you know, meanwhile, Lenny hated it. And I'm like, Lenny, that's a very personally awesome name for me. And you're saying you hate it. I mean, we're just joking and teasing about it, but he does like kind of hate it, you know, but I'm like, means something totally different to me. You know, it's endearing, but
yeah. But with how different the show is from what you usually do with comedies, like, was there any hesitation with joining or?
Terrified. It's terrified because, you know, the thing is, going into a drama, and I was purposely brought on to bring lightness to the dark.
Mm-hmm. And you do.
But thank you. But, you know, there's a thing, it's like, all the comedian ever wants is to be taken seriously. Oddly enough. And then you go on to a drama, and it's like, so afraid of not being taken seriously as an actor.
Yeah.
But then also having to ride that line of, I am doing some comedy, but I can't, it's just got to stay grounded, you know, in a very real place. And I didn't want to be laughed at. You know, I wanted to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever wanted. Comedy just happened to be a suit I wore, you know, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, to me, it made sense, and yet it was terrifying because I really just thought I stood the chance of kind of being laughed at. You know, my insecurities were all like, oh, what are they saying about me behind my back as I'm learning? Because I was on a learning curve. You know, it was very different. It's very different. It's like, oh my God. I felt like I was doing a parody of a drama when I first started. Yeah. Because it's all so quiet and different. Like, it's so understated. Like, you don't, in some ways, it's like you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, so I felt like I was doing MadTV sketches at first.
Oh, interesting.
You know, like, yeah. Because like my first few scenes were with Morgan, and you know, he's all like this. And
he's so serious.
And everything. And to me, and especially I was a fan of the show, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a sketch. This is like hilarious. Now I'm going to come right back at him with my lines just like him. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing a sketch.
Yeah. He's the straight man.
But I was being a straight man too.
That's true.
That's what it felt like. I'm like, oh my God, we're parodying a drama show. Like, we're both pretending to be drama actors. That's what it felt like.
So it was like kind of like out of body experience a little bit.
For sure. For
You're like,
sure.
this is strange. Okay. And yeah, it's also weird. Like, not only do you have to be in a drama and feel serious all the time, but you also have to tell yourself that like zombies are a real threat and they're not like hilarious and that they exist. So that must be kind of crazy.
Well, you know, the good thing there is that I really do love pretend. And so, and the set is obviously, it's real. This is a real forest, you know, this is a real country road, whatever. It's like, that is definitely a real snake coming onto set, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's also, it's so big, it's not this enclosed, I mean, yes, the camera's coming closer and do close-ups, but there's this big world that you're playing in, and then these great actors that you're with, and then, you know, you bring in the walkers and it gets very real. There's been so many moments where you know, I really was scared, or really was I mean, I have a real hard time when you know, a character is, you know, hurt or dying. Like Maureen has a hard time not crying. And Sarah's supposed to be a tough nut, but I get so into it. It becomes so real to me what's happening that yeah, Maureen is always in there ready to bawl her eyes out.
Wow.
Or be scared shitless.
Yeah. Wow. I love that dynamic. That's interesting. Man.
Yeah.
And you guys were just back filming, right?
Yep.
For a little bit. That's fun.
Yep.
Was it just to finish the first half of the season?
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know, it's like half a season was shot and then the pandemic hit. So
you have to like be like, wait, what was my hair like last year? Or
yeah, I had to go and like well, the weird thing is you don't know my hair, but I developed like my hair during the pandemic got a wave that wasn't there before the pandemic.
Oh, that's fun.
I had straight hair. But the funny thing is, on the show they curled it to look like this, but for some reason the pandemic curled my hair.
Just naturally curled your hair. Well, we're in, you know, a half apocalypse right now, so that makes sense.
I know. I think I think it's panic and stress and, you know, hormones. But like my hair, my whole head of hair changed. So my hair girl was like, holy shit. I know. Like my time in the hair chair is nothing, because I wear a hat too, but she doesn't have to put a wave in anymore. It's already there.
Wow. I was going to say things you don't want to hear from your hairdresser. Holy shit.
Holy shit. Yeah. No, she was like, holy shit. Awesome. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to work.
Yeah.
You don't have to work.
Yeah. So with Fear, obviously new showrunners came in. You came in after the, you know, changing of the tides, and season 4 and 5 are different. But I feel so far, I've only seen a few episodes of 6. It feels a lot different than the other 2 seasons. Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, you know, the only thing I know that they're trying to do different, and I'm sure you've heard this too, is the anthology effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's the thing.
You know, if that's it, you know, maybe that's what you're feeling.
Yeah. It's good though. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
It's gone very dark.
It is dark.
Which maybe has a nostalgic thing in terms of like going back on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
To those initial feelings we had when we started watching that series and got so swept up into it. You know, I feel like Fear is sort of getting more into that grit.
That's true. Well, I'm excited. What can you say about Sarah in season 6?
Well, nothing. You know that.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. Okay. I thought I'd get something.
She's still with her hat.
That's good. Okay. Hat confirmed. That's great. Well, all right. Okay.
She still drives a truck. Oh, well, this is fun. I actually learned how to drive the semi.
Really?
Yeah. So I can drive. That's not it won't be a double. It's me.
Wow. Kind of jumping around. That oil field scene from season 5, that must have been insane to shoot on that set.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I was just curious about that.
It was quite a location. You know, it was boiling hot, and then add fire,
yeah.
You know, and dust.
Yeah.
But again, like you see, like it's so massive.
Yeah.
to be down there, and then in comes Virginia, and those are real horses, and that cliff has real horses and people on them, and they're dressed like cowboy. It's like, you're in it. How do you not engage with that and feel like it's really happening to you? It's really happening. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's got to be crazy. Do you still feel that you were saying like you have the out of body experience? Like, we are actors in this drama. This is fun. Have you gotten used to that, or do you still feel like
I completely submerged in Sarah now?
Oh, good. Okay.
Like I
cool.
feel like after season 4, when I came on, like she became so valuable to me in my personal life too. Like, I really liked Sarah because she was stronger in so many ways than me, Mo. And if there are days, like I have a not lifelong, but most of my life suffering from depression, and it's like, on my shitty days, I can call on Sarah and say, Sarah, you got to take Mo for a walk, wow. And I'll go out and I'll walk like her. I'll walk tall and feel stronger and then feel better.
Wow.
And it's funny, like in the ways that Sarah maybe needs some softness, I think I have infused myself into her. So truly, in so many ways, like sometimes it's harder for me to split the two characters. I just feel more like when I'm playing Sarah, I'm just playing myself. She operates very similar, so her senses of loyalty and fight, I get my Irish up.
So now we're talking about 3 personalities living inside you.
I know.
Okay.
See, Mo is short for more.
More. It is more. Wow, that's amazing. Is this the most you've been like entrenched in a character in your career so far?
This is yes. This is the most. Well, I mean, any other characters I've done at length. I mean, Joan Calamezzo. It's like, what am I going to be, a drunk? It's like,
yeah. Maybe don't live her life.
Yeah, she's more far-fetched, but like I say, because Sarah, the more I do her, the more she is a grounded and real person, and I really love her. I really love her, and I love playing her because it's like exercising a part of myself that doesn't necessarily get to the exercise, here at home, and it's like, walking around my neighborhood, it's like, sure, I can walk like her, but it's just exercising things that I like to exercise in my personality. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that strength. I really love that. When I get pissed, it's like Sarah's gotten pissed, and but it's also, I, in my own personal life, I don't cry. I don't get angry at people. Nope, I don't, and that's a fault of mine. Let me just say, I think it's a fault. I think we're supposed to be releasing that stuff instead of keeping it inside and building tumors. But it's like, I don't know. Sarah's very emotional, and she allows Mo to have more emotion.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder, where does that come from? Not wanting to cry. Is that like a tough, like Midwestern, like upbringing kind of thing?
I think it might be some upbringing stuff. My household wasn't an emotional household. I've had to learn, it's a lot of how to be more emotional, to allow myself my feelings, which is why I married a guy from Jersey whose emotions are all on his sleeve. You know? And so I learned from him, it's like, he's been a great example of that it's okay to express your feelings and to have emotions and to be pissed, or, just, it's okay. Like, if somebody doesn't like you for it, fuck them. Like, that's the Jersey way, but always being so careful. Like, I kind of grew up on walking on eggshells.
Yeah, that's sort of that Midwestern sort of, let's just be polite. We don't want to bother anybody.
Seen, not heard,
Yeah.
And, and then of course moving into this business too, or being in a public thing where it's just like you have to watch how you are. You want people to like you. You need to be, you know, I don't know. You need to be a certain way so people want to work with you, and yet it turns out assholes work all the time.
Yeah.
So that was a wrong lesson. Squeaky wheel gets the oil, not the nice lady.
You said your husband lives life out loud, so that must be a big help for you.
It's a great help. It's a great help. Yeah.
I mean, you need that, you know, you just need to like live life, experience life.
Yep. And he's very affectionate, so it's just like
I've
nice. Become a more affectionate person. I mean,
you're mimicking
the mockingbird.
The mockingbird. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up.
What a great chat.
Thank you. I know it was a great chat. I had a great time talking to you. I was nervous because I don't ever get starstruck that often because I used to work as a CBS page, so I'd see celebrities all the time. I got used to it, but I grew up with MadTV, like I said, and a huge fan of you. So it was honestly an honor talking to you.
So nice talking to you.
And it's always nice to meet a new person in quarantine, I got to say.
I know.
Well, that's all I have, Mo. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I can't wait to see where Sarah goes in Fear, and we'll talk later.
All right. You take care.
All right. See you, Mo. Bye. All right, and that was my interview with Mo Collins. Like I said, guys, it was a huge honor for me to talk to her, and I'm so glad I got to. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Next week, we are going to be speaking with Nicholas Cantu, who plays Elton in The Walking Dead World Beyond. So look forward to that. Until then, be safe, wear a mask, go Browns, and as always, happy birthday to Nate.